Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of What the Fish with me, Bobby, your celebrated host. In this series, we're going to explore topics that anyone who's ever kept fish in a glass box can relate to. This isn't just going to be a place where we talk about your GH and KH levels in your CO2 injected, highly technical, auto dosed planted aquarium, whatever that is, or just how to keep your fourth goldfish alive in that half-gallon death trap that you bought on impulse at the dog food store. To some, fish keeping is a hobby, and it's a rewarding one, but it requires research and knowledge, a huge investment of time, and a lot of precision equipment. To others, hobby doesn't really describe it. You just want to keep some beautiful fish happy in a simple setup and lessen the chances of sending them to a watery grave. Anyway, if you're here, it's because you have a love of nature and you want to bring it into your home. So let's kick things off and figure out what the fish is an aquarium hobby anyway. Ever since I was a little kid, I've kept fish. I think I got my first 20-gallon tank full of guppies when I was in first or second grade from my grandfather. He had kept fish all his life, and he knew what he was doing. So he taught me how to keep the fish alive, how to take care of the tank, when to clean it, how much to feed them, all that good stuff. He kept giving me bigger and bigger tanks, and I got more and more involved into the hobby, and I really enjoyed it. Eventually, when I was a teenager, I got a job at a local fish store where I learned so much more about how to keep fish properly. But the one thing that I really learned is that there's not one way to do everything. You don't need to follow a certain rule because there aren't any rules. What works for me might not work for you. Maybe I have a bigger filter. Maybe I feed less. Maybe I feed a different food. Maybe I got my fish from a source you didn't and they're hardier. Or maybe they aren't. The thing to remember is, if you're new to the hobby and you walk into a store and you get that small starter kit with a betta or a goldfish in it, some plastic plants and some rainbow gravel, take it home and fill it up with water, and then you wonder why you're having problems, it's not your fault. The reason is that there are a lot of fish keeping myths out there, things that everybody knows about how to keep fish. And they don't work. Many of them aren't even true. For example, how many times have you heard fish only grow to the size of their tank? You've also probably heard that fish don't live very long. It's normal for them to die after a month or so, and then you just go buy another one. Oh, hey little guy! Happy birthday! You're 1 month old today! Wait. Why are you... One of the ones that really gets under my skin is when people try to tell you that fish should be kept as decorations. They're not real as far as animals are concerned. They're not exactly pets, so you can keep them hanging on the wall or in little glass bowls or anywhere else that you might want that they think where they look good. Martha says, if anyone's going to have the best parties, they must have the best decorations. Another thing that people think are fish are simple to take care of. All you need is a little tank, a little water, some fish food, and you're good to go. That's not always the case. All right, let's see. Now that's 10 milligrams per liter. Oh wait, no, it's 8 cc's for a US gallon, or 10 if it's imperial. That can't be right. Oh wait, that's for aquaflavin, not formalin. And this is Ichthyopthyriaceus with an IC H, or is there an ICK? As fish keepers, what can we do? We can't change these things. Everybody's heard these things before, and a lot of people think they're true. What we can do is try and educate people and help them out and do the best job that we can do as advanced fish keepers to bring somebody else along. A good example is, whenever I go to someone's house for the first time, my brain immediately goes into search mode looking for their fish tank. Most of the time, I don't find one. Why is that? I saw a survey that said about 65% of hobbyists give up within the first 2 or 3 months, mostly for the reason that their fish keep dying. Especially if it's for your kids. You don't want to have to keep going out and replacing fish while they're at school. You don't want to have to keep going through the tragedy for a 5-year-old telling you that Finny the fish is once again dead and now we have to go get another one. These kind of things turn people off to fish keeping, and it's definitely not going to grow the hobby. Hey honey, do we have anything else that's big and useless, taking up space that we don't really want and won't be missed on Monday if they don't show up for school? As fish keepers, we need to be cognizant of that, and we need to step in to help. Now here's the problem. I can't tell you how many online forums I've been on where people new to the hobby are trying to do the right thing. They stumble upon a certain group either on Facebook or Reddit or wherever and start asking some questions or maybe even posting pictures of their tanks. There are a lot of great people out there who will help them out, but there are a lot of other people out there who like to spout the rules for keeping fish. I've seen people get raked over the coals because they only had 5 Cory cats. Everybody knows a minimum of 6 is the absolute only way to keep these fish happy. I've seen people get trashed because their aquariums have fake plants and not natural. That wasn't the question. All they want to know is, what do they eat? But instead, we have a lot of experts out there that like to jump in and inform people that they're doing everything wrong and what they see in front of them is tantamount to fish abuse. They should be reported. We can't do that. We can do better. We need to be able to educate people and make them realize how fun the fish hobby actually is. The other thing is, not all fish are for everybody. Personally, I would never buy a glowfish. To me, it's a Frankenfish, a laboratory creation that has no place in my house. But there are a lot of people who like them. How do I know that? Glowfish is probably $1 billion industry by now. With all of the different kinds of fish that they're creating, the glow-in-the-dark ornaments, the black lights for the tanks, it goes on and on and on. Somebody's obviously buying them. It's not me, but there are people doing it. We have to get out of the mindset that the only way to do this is from a natural, real wood, real plants, real sand aquarium with a certain amount of fish and a certain kind of fish, and anything else is wrong. That's not how we grow this hobby. It just makes you want to say, what the fish? All right, now it's time for this week's What the Fish moment. This WTF moment flows into exactly what we've been talking about for the entirety of this video, how experienced hobbyists can help out a newbie. So let's turn our attention to Reddit, where somebody has gone online to ask a question about her child's first aquarium. Hey, my 12-year-old son is obsessed with fish, and for his birthday this year, he asked for an aquarium. Sounds like a great kid with a smart mind. I like him already. He hasn't had a pet before, and while I could care for it when he slacks off, I would also like to get a couple low-maintenance fish for his first pets, so he learns responsibility while not being overwhelmed as to kill his interest. Apparently, she's well versed in the mind of a 12-year-old. So, what are the best fish for a beginner? How big of a tank should I get? And what type of tank accessories should I get? Alright, she's covered all the bases, asking the right questions, wanting to set her son up to succeed. Now, is there anybody out there who could answer that for her? Specifically the questions that she asked, in a way that's easy for her son to understand. Lucky for her, someone did. This is one of the Aqua Karens that I mentioned earlier. Obviously someone who's never had a kid before. Here's her advice. Get a 10-gallon. 1 betta fish and 1 snail is my suggestion. Yes. That's incredibly boring. A tip I've seen is parents having their kids do a small PowerPoint presentation on the fish that they want and all of its health requirements, food requirements, tank requirements, etc. If the kid doesn't want to do that, then the kid probably isn't ready for that responsibility. I'd have your kid figure out what kind of fish he wants and go from there. There's so much wrong with this answer. First of all, what 12-year-old is going to sit down and create a PowerPoint presentation for a fish or any other pet that he's never had before? Not going to work. Yes, we may be teaching him the finer points of Microsoft Office so that he can get that middle management position at a financial technical company, but I don't think it's going to do much for a goldfish tank in his room. Although, the kid did go ahead and create the presentation, and I happen to have a copy of it right here.
Let's go to the beach under the sun, feel the sun.
Yep, that's the typical PowerPoint that you're going to get from a 12-year-old. This answer does nothing to help these people get on their way with the hobby. She has no answers to any of her questions, like what other kinds of equipment, how to set it up, what's good for a kid, none of that. Besides the fact that since the kid's never had a pet before, I really doubt he's going to know much beyond betta and goldfish, maybe catfish, for what he wants to put in there. So that's this week's WTF moment. Don't answer questions like this, help people out. And remember, if you read something like this and it just makes you say, "What the fish?" then somebody's not doing it right. That's all from me for this week. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe for some more great content. This was the first video. Hopefully we've got many more ready to go, and I can't wait to see you guys back for the next one. Bye.